And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my opinion about the thing.
Boo this fan!
So we have this saying here in the UK to describe a potential big argument which hasn't started yet, but probably will. That saying is, "That'll set the cat amongst the pigeons," so just remember, I'm not trying to take your Sonic away. I thought this would be an interesting discussion if I looked at the arguments in order to see which is potentially the stronger brand, and I'm quite surprised. Anyway, on with the episode. Modern Sonic has problems. Without a shadow of a doubt, the primary problem with modern Sonic is the gameplay and the level design working in broken tandem. Everybody knows it. The case in point example is the most recent title, Sonic Forces. It's the pinnacle of everything that's wrong with modern Sonic's gameplay, and then some. With its linear level design being so void of anything for the player to do, there are entire stages in that game which you can beat by just holding down the boost button and doing nothing else. Almost every stage has completely automated segments that take control away from the player from prolonged periods of time, making a short game feel ridiculously short. It's a problem that's been building for years, and in 2017, with the release of Forces, it blew up in all our faces. That's the primary problem. Unless that gets fixed, none of what I say in this video matters. But if you want me to go into gameplay detail, go and support my Patreon page. Details are in the video description. But gameplay alone isn't just at fault. Modern Sonic is a mess. In terms of tone, lore, story, and overall structure, Modern Sonic is a brand which is weaker than the classic Sonic brand, and it's also the cause of most jokes and jibes towards the franchise. And this is no great secret. In recent years following the release of Mania and Forces, many popular YouTubers and critics have commented on the state of Modern Sonic. Just look up any video which criticises Modern Sonic's design. The vast majority of people out there agree that there are problems when it comes to gameplay, tone, lore, story, and the overall structure and stability of Modern Sonic. As a brand, it's just not very good. And we can agree on this. In fact, when we compare all these things to classic Sonic, such as Mania and the original classic titles, people agree that classic Sonic is the stronger brand right now. And likewise, when we used to compare modern Sonic to Boom Sonic, even if you put aside the fact that Rise of Lyric was a completely broken mess of a game, the modern Sonic brand was far stronger than the Boom Sonic brand. So if we can agree that in terms of a brand, Modern Sonic is better than Boom, but weaker than Classic, what happens if we use that same criteria to compare Modern Sonic to that other Modern Sonic? Movie Sonic. Is the movie Sonic actually better, or at least in a stronger position than that of Modern Sonic? So grab your Puma shoes and click that boost button. This one's going to set the cat amongst the pigeons. Regardless as to how you think the final product will turn out, if you've been paying attention to the Sonic movies marketing recently, it's been absolutely killing it. The combination of good marketing combined with the positive reception of the new Sonic design, and even having its own Baby Yoda moment, it's one of the biggest turnarounds for a piece of media in recent history. But if you put aside the visual design of the movie Sonic character and just look at the little details revealed so far, I think you can make a strong case that modern Sonic's day is done, and movie Sonic is a far more viable brand going forward. Most commentators and critics agree that modern Sonic games are going through one hell of an identity crisis right now, and you can trace the roots of this crisis back as far as the PlayStation 2 era of Sonic games. Only the confusion and the sense of the crisis is the same as asking, what is my life? If you find yourself at a strip club because you prefer to eat at the complimentary buffet than all the other activities on offer there. You don't know what I mean by that? Well, here's an example. This is the very first appearance of modern Sonic in Sonic Adventure from 1999. In 2011, classic and modern Sonic met for the first time, and we all assumed, and the game even made it crystal clear of this fact, that they were indeed the same character, just from different periods of time.
It was great teaming up with you. Hope you learned a few tricks that'll help you out in the future. Hey Sonic! Enjoy your future! It's gonna be great!
And then just 6 years later, in 2017, following a number of leaks from the Sonic Bible, which is a subject we'll cover later, we now know that they're not the same character, but different characters from alternative dimensions.
Oh, you're that Sonic from another dimension, aren't you? The power that Eggman is using is somehow affecting other dimensions.
How stupid has this idea got? In Sonic Forces, it claims that classic Sonic isn't a younger modern Sonic, while simultaneously referencing Sonic Generations, which claimed that he was a younger modern Sonic.
You worry too much. Look, I'm perfectly fine. It's been generations since I seen you. You okay? Enjoy your future! It's gonna be great!
Oh, you're that Sonic from another dimension, aren't you?
Are you confused yet? So some may say, oh, this is just a bad translation into English. Okay, fine, that's a possibility, but it still doesn't excuse this. Sega has this internal document called the Sonic Bible. They've never ever released this document, and maybe one day this will be strong enough to be a video subject on its own. But multiple people have referenced this document, and some people have actually even quoted extracts from it. And multiple sources, both at Sega and contractors from Sega, have claimed that they've actually seen it and read it. And one part of the Sonic Bible which has been added to in recent years is this little detail. The modern Sonic games are not set on one single planet. They're set on two. One planet is Sonic's world, the other planet is a more human, Earth-like world, and they're connected by a magic bridge which is separated by a magic gate. The Sonic characters are the only ones who can see and pass through this bridge and the gate, which is why in Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2, the game appears to be set on a human-like Earth world, whereas Sonic Heroes, Lost World, and even Generations look like they take place on a more alien world. And with Sonic Forces, this is actually taking place on a hybrid of the two. That alone is confusing and convoluted, but add on to this the fact that none of this has ever been explained in a game, and none of this has even been shown in a game. All this information is in an internal document which has never been released to anyone outside of internal Sega development. We only know about it because it's occasionally been referenced in various interviews, and some contractors who have worked for Sega have confirmed its existence and the contents of it. Yet, how are we as fans, or even the casual player, supposed to understand any of the lore, any of the world building of modern Sonic, if something as vital as there are two planets which each of the games are set on is withheld from us? Anyone else out there think this is just beyond stupid and convoluted now? If not, how about this? Even if you are really into Sonic and you've read every single interview ever and you knew about this two worlds thing, you still have a bit of a problem when it comes to trying to identify what's going on in modern Sonic games. Because every Sonic game since the modern era began has never told you which planet the game is set on. You have to guess which planet the game is set on. And if as a fan, you have to go through all the hoops of reading every single interview, finding every single little bit of detail, just to understand the lore and the history of something as simple as where is this game set, how is someone who's not a fan or is just into gaming and occasionally picks up a Sonic game supposed to understand what's going on? Oh, but it's still not over. If you still don't think all of that is convoluted and a mess, how about the other rules that the Sonic Bible dictates which we know exist but have never been established in the games themselves, such as only Tails and Eggman can be inventors. Only hedgehogs can have a super form, except for the times when the plot device means cats, foxes, and echidnas can also have one too. Oh, sorry, I lied, that's not right. It turns out that whilst I was writing this part of the video, I actually learnt that Tails and Knuckles do have super forms. This has been established in games such as Sonic Heroes. However, following that game's release, the internal Sonic Bible was changed again. Now Tails and Knuckles still have their super forms, that's fine, that's established established canon, but they've lost the ability to turn super. This has never been shown or explained in any in-universe media, but is apparently a canon plot trait that they now both have. Blaze, however, is still an exception to the only hedgehogs can go super rule. However, her super form must not be called a super form. This is true for either references in the game itself or even in the game code itself. Oh my god, what is happening? Oh yeah, and this only applies to modern Sonic. Classic Sonic, these rules don't exist. Any playable character can go super, which again kind of does show just how much of a mess modern Sonic is in. And it's not just the lore and the story of modern Sonic which is a mess and overly complicated and contradictory to itself. Just look at the tone of modern Sonic. On the one hand, we have 2010 Sonic Colors, in which the Wisps come up with the name Baldy McNosehair for Eggman. A name which Sonic finds hilarious.
Anyway, it seems an evil man, and you might know him, who they call Baldy Nosehair.
Baldy Nosehair? That's the best thing I've heard all day. I gotta remember that one.
And then in 2013, he uses it again to describe Eggman in Sonic Lost World.
Hey, I've been looking for you, Baldy McNosehair. Who are your friends?
We then have just a 3-year gap filled with spin-off series and then Modern Sonic Returns. Only now, the tone can be summarized by this scene.
Like that! There!
There is no reason to resist. Simply is no. I can taste your terror, child. All that anxiety and doubt. It's delicious. Give in to your fear. Flee screaming, and I'll let you live.
Haha, guys! Remember that light-hearted moment, guys? When Infinite was killing civilians? Ha ha ha! Remember how he was psychologically torturing kids whose friends he just killed? Remember Knuckles' battle plan which killed nearly his entire army? Ha ha ha! And Sonic being tortured for months in a military prison? You don't? Do you remember when Tails suffered post-traumatic stress disorder and depression?
Baldy McNosehair?
And if you want to know more of that, see my video on Tails in Sonic Forces. I don't care if you prefer the tone in Colors, Lost World, or even Forces. The problem is that it's not consistent. It is not consistent at all, even for fans of the series. It's just complete pot luck as to what kind of tonal experience you'll get whenever a new game comes out. Picking up a new Sonic game, you never know anymore if it's just going to be a light-hearted fun romp through the various zones and bopping the fat man on the head at the end. Or if you're going to go through the whole, war is bad, everything's bad, you're going to need counselling at the end of this, Blue Hedgehog went fast. And then we have the big issue of what gameplay style will it be this week? It's like a Saturday morning cartoon, you never know what you're going to expect. And the problem with Sonic is when the going gets good, modern Sonic gets going somewhere else. The lore, the tone, the gameplay, just everything is all over the place. And that's not good, because if you're changing stuff so much, even little things like this, eventually the people who are actually working on the product are just not gonna know what to do. And then you get stuff which doesn't really work, doesn't really make sense, and eventually your final product begins to contradict itself, let alone 20 plus years of video game narrative and development. So let's now turn to the Sonic movie, and if you've been watching my channel for the last few months, you'll know I've been very critical of it. But regardless as to if the movie turns out to be either not that great or kind of alright, I can't deny that the foundation it currently has for a story and even its world building rivals and in some aspects is stronger than over 20 years of modern Sonic's development. If we take everything that we use to compare modern Sonic to classic Sonic and modern Sonic to Boom and apply it to the movie Sonic, Movie Sonic just seems to be better in every area. So let's start off with a few little things. We only have a few minutes so far of footage from the movie, but let's compare the strength of the lore and the world building that the movie has set up versus over 20 years of modern Sonic and decide which is clearer, or at least the strongest setup for a universe and a narrative. Let's start with Movie Sonic. Movie Sonic grew up under the care of a wise old owl on a lush green planet, spending his days zooming around a tropical island, being annoying to whoever these guys are in the Baby Sonic trailer. So now let's look at modern Sonic's history. Modern Sonic's history used to be classic Sonic until it was revealed a few years ago that they're actually two different characters.
Oh, you're that Sonic from another dimension, aren't you?
So, the answer is God knows. So now let's go back to the movie Sonic. Movie Sonic becomes bored of his island life, so through the use of magical rings, he creates a portal to our world and decides to stay for a while, having fun, which we as the audience actually get to see and understand the mechanics of. Let's go to modern Sonic. What does he do? Modern Sonic uses a magic bridge and a magic gate to transport himself between his world and the human world. We as the audience don't actually get to see this. We as the audience are not supposed to know about this. We as the audience only know this is the case because it was once leaked and has never been referenced again. So, we're only on the most basic aspects of storytelling, lore and world building, and already the movie Sonic universe is just so much clearer and, dare I say it, far more interesting and engaging than modern Sonic's. Granted, the plot of the movie itself could still ruin this when it comes out, but just as pure ideas that have been executed, that have been shown to the audience, it's solid and far more interesting than 20 odd years of modern Sonic. How about Sonic's nemesis? What about Eggman? Now, I'm not a fan of how the movie presents Eggman early on. I think he looks just like a generic paint-by-the-numbers scientific bad guy. But his origin in the movie is far stronger and clearer than anything that modern Sonic has had to offer. Modern Sonic especially, thanks to Sonic Adventure 2 showing Gerald Robotnik, references the idea that Eggman may or may not even be from Earth. We're not entirely sure, this has never been resolved. Movie Sonic, however, makes his origin clear. He's a human working for the government on the planet Earth, but it also adds an extra level of sinister detail to his character. Unlike modern Sonic's Eggman, who pretty much attempts world domination in every single game, he then has to deal with Sonic trying to stop him. Pretty much every single game opens up with Eggman doing some kind of evil plan, and then Sonic appears and tries to stop him. The movie Eggman, however, is actively trying to hunt Sonic down. There's even been a small hint from one of the trailers that movie Eggman is also going for world domination, but that's not necessarily his primary goal. His primary goal is his added obsession that Eggman has with Sonic that makes him far more interesting than the game Eggman. Movie Eggman is actively trying to capture Sonic so he can learn how Sonic gets his powers and also gain his power and abilities for himself. Video game modern Eggman just only seems to bother with Sonic when Sonic comes along and tries to stop his plans. Granted, he might have a weapon or a monster to take on Sonic when he turns up, but it's not like he's just released it and said, go find Sonic and take him out. The video game Eggman is reactionary to Sonic. Movie Eggman, however, is far more active and aggressive towards Sonic throughout the constant storyline. I know which one I think sounds more interesting. What about you? So when it comes to talking about the actual gameplay, I've kind of already gone through this about how much of a mess that modern Sonic is in. And it's no secret that it feels like whenever things are improving, the gameplay suddenly changes. Most fans will agree that Unleashed, Colors and Generations were getting better with each release. And then suddenly, along comes Lost World, then Boom, and then Forces. Each time the gameplay changed or brought in some strange gimmick or forced the inclusion of classic Sonic or the Avatar or some other mechanic. Instead of trying to nail the modern Sonic experience, every title since Generations has forced in multiple gameplay styles, neither of which are just that fun anymore. Now with the movie Sonic, it's tried to emulate a traditional boost gameplay for the screen, and visually this looks okay. When you actually play this, the boost formula isn't that great in my opinion, but the thing that the movie does, which is something that we don't see in modern Sonic's gameplay, but I can't help but feel that if this was explored, it would be a really cool design aspect, and that's the warp rings. In multiple scenes in the movie, we see Sonic transport vast distances and even entire dimensions in seconds. Imagine if you could do that in a game. 1 second you're running through a zone, push of a button, Sonic throws a warp ring out in front of him, and bang, you're in another part of the stage, another zone. Or you could even incorporate Sonic CD style time travel. If you ever played Titanfall 2, there's a stage in the single player campaign which sees the player switching between 2 time periods at will. It's a really cool stage, and it's one of the highlights of the campaign. I can't help but feel you could do something like this with the warp rings. In Sonic, this would make a really cool gameplay, as well as some awesome boss battles. Imagine fighting Perfect Chaos and using warp rings to transport to different parts around the map and attack different parts of his body, popping out of warp rings, almost like a form of chaos control. Or even a Sonic CD time travel mechanic, but when you throw a warp ring you run into the past or the future. Or even as you run through a zone, you could look through the warp rings and see the alternative areas or time periods as you travel through them. So I'd like to bring this to a close now, since I think I've given you lots of food for thought. I fully expect that some people are just going to look at the title and completely dismiss it because they're frightened that, no, don't you dare take my Sonic away. And I expect the idea that movie Sonic should replace modern isn't going to be that popular with people initially. But if you really compare the world building, the lore, the initial story, the consistency of the tone, I've got to say, the movie Sonic is looking like the stronger brand. Whether the film will turn out to be any good or not is another issue. And remember, none of this matters unless Sega fixes the Sonic gameplay and level design problem. But there's another thing to consider as well about this whole debate. The movie is going to be shown worldwide. People who are not necessarily into Sonic games are going to see it, and Sega must be hoping that this turns into new players and new customers for their games. So how does it make any sense that with the movie's strong world building, the lore, and the consistent tone all the way through it, anyone who comes out of that movie who has either an interest in games or decides, oh, maybe I should try a Sonic game and see what it's like, when they pick that up, if it's a modern game, it's going to be a completely different backstory, a completely different lore, none of which is explained to them at all. And before someone says, well, what about classic Sonic? You've just said why that's going to be different. It's called Classic Sonic because people associate that word with being old. It's just the way branding works. That's why we have the clear distinction between classic and modern, and why Sega have never attempted to classify Sonic Adventure 1, 2, and Heroes as being some kind of Dreamcast Sonic. It only brings confusion to general audiences. Audiences going to see a modern movie are going to believe that movie Sonic is modern Sonic. Yet, the game isn't that. And it isn't even consistent and clear to itself. What chance have these players got? So then, at the risk of setting the cat amongst the pigeons, what's your thoughts on this? Based on what I've said, which to you appears to be the strongest and clearest presentation so far? The modern Sonic or the movie Sonic? Are you ready to say goodbye to modern Sonic and hello to movie Sonic? Whilst I'm not sure I'm quite ready to say goodbye until the movie comes out, I can't help but feel the stronger candidate going forward in terms of a modern Sonic is the spawn of Manhog. So if this video's subject has been a bit heavy and you're a bit freaked out about the idea, next time we're off to Disney World to look at Sonic's secret history with Walt Disney. See you next time! Hey guys, don't forget to smash that like button and the subscribe and bell notification button. Just wanted to take this time to give a huge thank you to my awesome Patreon supporters. They are GKid64, Graham Hall, Karim Tasuli, Kenny Newbury, Mark Davies, Nathan Stevenson, Mr. Retro Geek, Niemand, Rusty Coolpix, Spookaberry, Stalin Usher 2, Stephen Temple, and The Wax. If you'd like to join those awesome people and support the work I do further and receive benefits such as early access to videos, please check out the links in the video description. Otherwise, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Twitch, where I post regular updates and other adventures. But most of all, just thank you for taking the time out to enjoy this video and the work I do. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you. And if you want to know more of that, see my video on Tails in Sonic Forces.
Baldy McNosehair,